Hi guys, Asmo here, and today I've got for you a 2-for-1. We're gonna talk about the best League starter builds for the 3.17 expansion, as well as the Atlas skill tree, which is absolutely massive and amazing, and there are so many cool things in it that I found that there are like crazy interactions that will allow you to just make massive profits in the end game, I think, compared to some of the other trees that I've seen that focus really heavily on the early game. But we'll get to that in a moment. So first of all, like, what should be your strategy going into this league, right? A lot of people have preferred things that they like to do. They like mapping, they like bossing. I think you need a hybrid of both, which is why the builds that I recommend are all builds that can boss, right? Those are all builds that can effectively boss. So what I recommend is Poisonous Concoction. That's, I think, my favorite build. That's a build that can do all bosses at the same time while being a super fast mapper. Other great builds are trappers. So for example, the seismic trap, the physical traps, they're still really good, as well as ice trap, which has been actually buffed a little bit. So ice trap is really good. This is really good. Probably explosive trap is also really good, but I haven't personally tried that. I'm not sure if it's gonna be really good, but it definitely has potential. So traps are gonna be probably still very good. Then we've got Scalamages. Scalamages is going to be one of the more popular builds for sure. A lot of people are going to be playing it. It's very easy to play, it's easy to scale, and it's just a plug and play build that can do all content pretty much very, very easily. Then we've got Nightblade, Poison, Spectral Helix, Assassin. There are all kinds of different versions of Spectral Helix builds with either Poison or just crit with Nightblade or without, but usually with Nightblade. You can also play it as Berserker. There are so many options to do this, but some version of this kind of a build is going to be very strong. This is a very strong skill with very strong scaling. Nightblade is a broken support gem, and if you scale elusive with Assassin, for example, you're gonna have so much damage coming from it that it's gonna be absolutely crazy. This is a build that a lot of people are gonna be playing in solo self-found hardcore, some kind of a Spectral Helix build. So that's definitely another one that I recommend, and it can do bosses for sure. Then we've got Explosive Arrow Ballista Totems, which is another build that is going to be extremely popular, perhaps the most popular League starter. I personally do not enjoy the playstyle that much, and I don't like looking at my totems miss their target and just hit the wrong thing, and when there are like ads next to the boss and the totems are not hitting the boss and the fuses are not stacking on it, and I personally don't enjoy it. But it's definitely a very strong build if you know what you're doing, with the emphasis of if you know what you're doing. A lot of people are going to be playing this build and they're going to be not getting enough fuses stacking into the target to detonate. Their damage is going to be exponentially lower than the people who know what they're doing and know how much attack speed they need and everything. So this is going to be a very, very powerful build, but maybe not for everyone because of the playstyle and also how specific the build is with some stuff. Then miners are going to be also still strong. Blazing Salvo mines are going to be still fine, and maybe even Blazing Salvo totems, but it's a bit tricky. Like, this skill definitely works much better with mines because of how it doesn't spread when the mines are right on top of the enemy, so more projectiles hit. It received an absolutely insane buff to the damage effectiveness, and the added damage for this was not really nerfed, because the added damage that was nerfed was added chaos damage, added cold damage, and added lightning damage. But other sources of added damage were buffed, such as local ones on the weapons and on gear, as well as the old sources of added fire damage, for example, and added fire damage from support gems has not been nerfed, so it's going to be actually very, very strong. Blazing Salvo Mines is definitely going to be something that can be played to very good effect, as well as mapping, as bossing. So those are the builds that I would recommend. My League starter is going to be Poisonous Concoction. I think it's a great mapper because it can do all map modes. It doesn't care if you're running no region, reflect, whatever, like you can just do all map modes. And you can boss as well with minimal investment. With absolutely minimal investment, you can do all the bosses. So I don't care that like Seismic Trap or let's say Spectral Helix is gonna kill a boss in 1 minute and I'm gonna kill a boss in 1.5 minutes, right? It doesn't matter, because even if I'm gonna be bossing a lot, 90% of the time I'm still gonna be mapping. So I wanna run through maps as fast as possible, and I want to be able to do it comfortably from the very beginning without any budget and in a playstyle that I actually enjoy. So that's going to be Poisonous Concoction for me. Pick something that matches your playstyle. Pick something that you will enjoy playing. That's probably the most important piece of advice I can give you, as well as make sure that that build can kill bosses. I think that's very important for this league. In terms of the Poisonous Concoction, it can be played so many ways. People are asking me if Occultist is good. I don't recommend Occultist because it's gonna struggle on bosses, and the clear on the skill is already great. So why invest into something that the build already has and neglect something that the build really needs, right? So I don't recommend that. Occultist is gonna be totally fine, but you're gonna have much harder time bossing than with Pathfinder. Self-chill is another very cool way of playing Poisonous Concoction, and actually I'm thinking of saving that for something else, which is gonna be like Temptation Step, Poison Cyclone, Trickster, Unarmed with self-chill. This is something I'm considering. This is one of those builds that's I should make a disclaimer, don't do this at home, so I should probably not show this even. Frenzy Focus with Replica, Feral Fur with Snakebite. This is something that everybody was doing in the previous league, so this is still going to be popular. And of course, it uses Mage Blood. Mage Blood is going to be great on everything, including Poisonous Concoction, especially if you want to be good at bossing. Mage Blood is going to be like the go-to unique, right? Now let's go to the Atlas skill tree and the Leaguestart strategy. So in terms of the Leaguestart strategy, what I'm going to be doing is, like, specifically I can just tell you what I'm going to be doing, and if you follow that to some degree, you're going to have a really good Leaguestart, right? So I mentioned this also in my leveling video for the Poisonous Concoction, but I'm basically going to be going to level 59 in the campaign. I'm going to end up somewhere around the foothills or whatever it's called, that area, like Act 9, like late Act 9 or something, around level 59. And then I'm gonna go do heist for a few levels. I'm gonna do heist from like level 59 to 69 or something like that. I'm gonna get a bunch of currency, I'm gonna get decent gear, I'm gonna get so much currency that I'm gonna be able to progress my Atlas so quickly, and I'm just gonna enter them at a reasonable level as well. And then I'm gonna progress the Atlas like crazy, right? With absolutely no stop. Like, I'm not gonna have to stop at any point. I'm just gonna go straight to the highest tier maps, right? And this is gonna require investment from the passive skill points, and here's what I'm gonna show you. Like, some people focus a lot on things that I think are going to be not as point efficient and not as good, but however, they can be invested in early because it's very easy to respec these points. This is what you need to remember. It's very easy to respec these points. Like, it's super easy. Like, you're gonna be able to just find some regrets. Scours are gonna be super expensive actually next league, but regrets are going to be able to be converted to these points, and I think they're also going to be sold or something. I don't know. You're going to be able to get a lot of them, so don't worry about the passive skill points. You're going to be able to respec them. I'm personally going to go probably for in the beginning for the areas contain an additional strongbox. And then also rare monsters are duplicated, and I'm not gonna grab this Spoils of War. Spoils of War is a fucking bait. It's gonna give you 1 extra transmutation orb per 100 rare monsters that you kill. That's basically what it's gonna give you. Or a rare jewelry item that you're not gonna pick up, because if you're doing the heist strategy, that's where you do the chaos recipe, and then you forget about it for the rest of the game, right? So it's gonna be absolutely pointless. However, an extra rare monster per map, that's not bad, right? That's gonna be extra higher map drops, right? Like, rare monsters can drop a +1 map, which is great because you can progress your Atlas better. So +1 map is a very, very important thing. Pay attention to these small passives. This is something that people are missing. Like, for example, look at this pathing, right? I'm going through from here to here, but I'm skipping the Kerak missions because I don't think I care about them that much, because all I care about is running the actual progression. Like, these Kerak missions, they do not benefit from the Atlas passives, right? So if whatever strategy you have in your Atlas passives, running these is going to be less efficient than running maps. And if you invest in your Atlas properly, you're going to be able to swim in maps and run whatever maps you want, so you don't need these missions, right? It's cool to get them, and I'm gonna definitely try them, but you don't need them, and it's gonna be more efficient use of your time to actually not run them and instead run the maps that are more juiced that you invested in. That's why I invest into these small passives. So for example, 2% chance for an additional connected map to drop from the unique map boss. So again, you can drop a higher tier map that is connected to the map that you're running, which is really, really good. These small passives are very undervalued, like half a percent chance for map drops to be duplicated. That means 2 of these passives, that means you have 1% more maps, right? 2 of these passives, 1% more maps. So you're just getting more and more maps. That's the most important thing, just to drop more maps. And you're gonna see in the end how this will all tie into this skill tree, right? So in the beginning, that's what I'm gonna go for. Then we've got these points, which I'm gonna pick a little bit later. I'm probably not gonna pick it right away when I'm passing by this, but it's also possible to do it. But I'm probably going to skip this in the beginning and pick it later. So I'm going to talk about it later as well. Then I'm going to head to here. Maps drop in areas have 5% chance to be 1 tier higher. And here we've got 15% chance to be 1 tier higher. Plus also like 10% chance to add a free random craft to your map device. That means basically you're going to be able to pick, you know, Fortune Favors the Brave, Beyond, Shrine, all of these things for free 10% of the time, which is going to give you actually quite a lot of currency. That means every 10 maps you're getting like extra few chaos, right? Up to like 11 chaos or whatever is the most expensive one. So this, as well as this wheel, is pretty important. You want to have the chance to drop higher tier maps to be stacked as high as possible, because you want to progress your atlas. You want to be dropping +1, you want to be dropping +2 maps from bosses. That's why there is some extra focus on bosses as well. So we're focusing on these nodes. Then we've got here also extra Shrine and extra Harbinger. All of those things, like the extra rare monsters, the extra strong boxes, extra Shrine, extra Harbingers, all of that drops everything, right? It drops maps, it drops currency, it drops normal items, right? So everything is included in that. That's kind of what you want to invest in. You want to invest in like generic quantity so that whatever strategy you're doing is going to help you. I would not recommend investing that much into essences, for example. You can do it early if you really want to. Like if you're SSF, then of course you can invest in essences. But if you're playing in a trade league, I feel like this is a bait. Everybody and their mother is going to be running essences. There's going to be a lot of essences on the market. They're going to be cheap, and you're not going to need all of them. You're going to need like 3 types of essences at most, and then the rest of them is going to be just something that you sell. So why not get the things that you actually care about, right? Like maps and just currency and more drops that you care about, instead of essences that you're just gonna sell for minimal amount of money. So all of these essence points, I feel like they're a waste, especially early on, where those points would be actually much better invested grabbing these small passive nodes that will give you more maps, right? Like 2% chance for additional connected map. This is like flat 2%, right? This is just added 2% chance to the map bosses for dropping additional maps. So these are really, really good. Then I will be moving toward this wheel, and I'm going to be going around this way because I'm going to be heading toward this way later, right? So this is going to be like just point efficiency. I looked at point efficiency, and this is actually better than going through here or than going through like this way. There was also another way of going here. So this is like the most point efficient way that I found here. Going for these, which is just extra chance for maps to be 1 tier higher. Again, we're stacking these like crazy. And then this is actually very, very massive. Like I'm probably going to be running Fortune Favors the Brave a lot because the 10% extra quantity, 10% rarity, and 10% pack size is absolutely massive. This is a node you should be kind of rushing, and then you should be running Fortune Favors the Brave while you are progressing your Atlas. It's very low cost. It's only 3 chaos, which is on par with like the lowest one. So like 2 chaos is the cheapest one, and then we've got like 3, 4, 5 chaos cost. So you're going to be pretty economically efficient. You're going to be getting sometimes more, sometimes less currency than this is, but like at most you're losing one chaos for all of these bonuses, like 10% quant, 10% rarity, 10% pack size. Like this is an insane amount, right? So this is definitely a node you should be rushing. So I'll be going probably at first through here. I might pick up the strong boxes. I might skip it at first. I'll be going here straight. I'll be going here, and grab this around Fortune Favors the Brave, and then pick up all these like guaranteed mechanics in my maps. You can also go down 1 point for like extra Kirak mission each day and 3% extra chance for Kirak missions. I think this is fine. It is justified to spend 1 point on that. Once you pick up this Harbinger, you can also pick up here extra Harbinger chance, and currency shards can be currency items instead, and Harbingers in areas summon 60% more minions. That's the more important one, and also have 60% increased cooldown recovery rate. This means they're going to be summoning them faster, which is very good. You're wasting less time and you're mapping faster. This is very, very important. Then I would be skipping this. This is something for later. This is something for later as well, I think. Although you can invest in these earlier, but I would be going toward these nodes. Actually, no, this is where we are at the late game. The shrine thing is kind of like very optional. The Harbinger is very optional as well. These can be kind of skipped, but the good thing about this is these small passives, which are 1% quantity, and here there's 1% quantity and 5% rarity. It's very, very nice. So let's talk about the big end game strategy that I have here, okay? So here's what I noticed. There are a lot of nodes that people are really neglecting, which synergize with each other, right? So let's talk about how the next league is going to be looking like. A lot of people are going to be going for this Eater of Worlds and the Searing Exarch, right? A lot of people are going to be going for those, right? But not that many people are going to want to like fight Cyrus. Why the fuck would you fight Cyrus when there is when the awakened orbs are going to be from like awakened support gems are going to be from Maven and stuff, right? From these invitations. So why would you go for Awakener, right? Why would you go for Cyrus and the Conquerors, right? And the reason to go for them is the influenced items. It's going to be really hard to get certain high level influenced item bases because people are simply not going to be running enough of these influenced maps. So this is something that you can definitely abuse in terms of the economy, right? So in order to get these Conqueror maps, here's what it says, right? Unique bosses have 25% chance to drop a Conqueror map. So here's my strategy, right? My late game strategy is going to be run T16 maps, just spam them. As many as possible. Just pick maps where I can kill I want to have a lot of map drops so that I have a lot of maps to run. So that's why my Atlas skill tree is tailored to that. That's already like synergizing with everything. I want to drop highest level maps because it's actually important to drop high level maps later. And then I want to make sure that I'm like at that tier 14, 15, 16, running as many maps as possible and killing as many map bosses as possible, right? And these map bosses will have 25% increased chance to drop a Conqueror map. Not sure how exactly the multi-boss maps work, but potentially there is a chance that these would work very well with the multi-boss maps. So if you have, for example, like a city square, which has like 3 bosses in the middle, right? So that's going to be 3 bosses that are going to be able to drop that. So it's like 75% chance to drop a Conqueror map. If that works like that, maybe it's per map, but I think these bosses will be separated, right? So that will be like 75% chance to drop a Conqueror map, right? Then we also have all these small nodes. So let's look at these small nodes, right? We've got unique map bosses have 3% chance to drop an additional unique item, right? And then we have a rarity. Why do you want a rarity on these, right? Why do you want unique maps? You want that because of synthesis, right? So synthesis maps are actually unique maps, right? And with synthesis, here you've got like plus 0.5% chance for synthesis map to drop from unique bosses, tier 11 plus. So synthesis map, by default, they can drop from unique map bosses if they're high enough tier. And this says 11 plus, so they're probably going to increase the tiers of the synthesis maps, so you're not going to have too low of levels in them. And then you've got extra chances for the synthesis maps from the map bosses. So you want to kill a lot of map bosses, right? So this for example, gives you 20% chance to have these map bosses duplicated if possible. I'm not sure when is it not possible. Maybe it's not possible on the maps where there is like a, maybe if it's like a Conqueror, maybe if it's like a Guardian, maybe if it's like the Kitava one, right? Maybe that cannot be duplicated. I've never seen that duplicated, I think. But the city square stuff should be probably duplicated, right? So this is something that's going to give you more chance. The rarity on the map bosses is going to make it so that you drop more unique maps, so more synthesis maps, right? You're going to drop more uniques in general. Like you're actually going to drop some like hardcore uniques from these bosses as well, right? You're gonna have some money that's coming your way from that as well. But the most important thing is like the the rarity to drop synthesis maps, more bosses, more quantity, and then also unique maps have +2 to monster level. So unique maps having +2 to monster level is so good for the synthesis, because with the synthesis we're going to be stacking the pack size, and we're going to be getting extra chance for unique items, like extra chance for synthesis items. So every single monster is going to have a 2% chance to drop synthesized items. But we're stacking quant, we're stacking rarity, we're stacking pack size, we're getting so much shit that we're gonna be able to drop a lot of synthesized items, right? And these synthesized items can be anything from just useless garbage to things like rings with +1 power charges, frenzy charges. There's going to be a lot of good stuff from that, right? So that's one thing. You're gonna also be dropping unique items more often, and you're gonna be dropping the more rare unique items. So for example, the flask, right, Bottle Faith, you're gonna be more likely to drop that because of all that stacked rarity on the unique bosses, right? Unique bosses from the synthesis maps should have this applied to them as well, which means the increased rarity will help you get the rarer uniques from them, and you're gonna be able to make just big amount of money because you're gonna be getting the big drops instead of just, I don't know, fucking selling essences like a pleb, right? So so I'm definitely going to invest in that, but that requires that your build can kill bosses, which is why every single one of my league recommendations, we're going back to that, every single one of my league starter recommendations can kill these bosses. Sorry, can kill these bosses, right? Every single one of these builds can kill the bosses, can do synthesis maps and so on. And then we've got also these nodes that give you extra chance for the items to be influenced. So 5% increase, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 45% increased chance for the items to be influenced. This is going to give you much more influenced items. Then we've got 20% increased quantity of items found in Conqueror maps. So it's just going to be good maps, like 20% increased pack size, right? And then Eldritch bosses have also 20% chance to drop a Conqueror map, and you're gonna be doing Eldritch bosses as well, right? So you're gonna be like progressing toward your Eldritch bosses, running Conqueror maps, and getting all of that good stuff, like all the good synthesis maps on the way. Your last points, like you'll notice this is like a lot of points, right? This is like end of the Atlas progression, which is another reason why like all of these like essence and that stuff can be skipped. But also later on you can just unspec a bunch of stuff, like you can unspec the strong boxes, you can unspec the shrine, you can unspec the harbinger, you can unspec some like +1 to levels if you're already like sustaining the highest tiers of maps and dropping the highest tiers of maps non-stop. So some of this stuff can be unspec'd for the sake of earlier progression. This is completely optional as well. But now let's look at these nodes, right? So these nodes are related to the Eater of Worlds and the Searing Exarch, and there is a very interesting modifier there, and the one that I'm interested in is actually on the small nodes again, right? Small nodes are so often overlooked by people. Like influenced monster packs in area have 5% increased pack size, right? So if you're able to pick up that, that's 20% pack size, and that is 40% pack size, increased pack size, and that will apply to your Conqueror maps as well. So Conqueror maps will have insane pack size, insane rarity and quantity, especially on the bosses, right? And then you're gonna have more influenced items from them. You're gonna be swimming in influenced items with this tree, right? So this is the strategy that I'm going for. And then the Exarch and stuff, like I might unspec some points and just spec into this while I'm doing this guy. Like it will depend like what mods, right? I'll look at POEDB and see what mobs do we get from the Eater of Worlds, what mobs do we get from Searing Exarch, what is the most expensive, and then probably go for that. But that's what kind of everybody will be doing. But this is kind of my Atlas tree strategy. There are a lot of different options here. You could also go if Shaper and Elder items, if there are some specific ones that people really want and want to pay premium, these are the mods that you want to get. This is a chance to drop influence items as well for Shaper and Elder and Guardians. This is something you can go for as well. You can also go for Maven stuff. That's going to be also very powerful. And then, of course, as with everything, like just pick whatever you enjoy, right? Pick whatever you want to be doing. Like some people want to be doing... so if you want to XP, for example, I recommend Abyss, right? Abyss is going to be excellent for XP. So Abyss and Breach, just stacking Abyss and Breach nodes is gonna give you the maximum XP if you wanna just XP the fastest, right? So if someone is like racing to 100, they're probably going to be picking like Abyss and Breach stuff, right? Because the XP multipliers on these are actually ridiculous, right? Here's like 50% increased experience, 100% increased amount of monsters, right? That's absolutely crazy, right? So there is a lot of good stuff to pick, but this is my strategy. These are my build recommendations, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good Leaguestart and see you next time.